Hey everybody, Madeline here to talk about Saturn stationing direct. When Saturn goes direct, karmic cycles are going to break and we're going to start seeing new beginnings. Saturn is the great karmic teacher, and when it goes retrograde, it pulls each one of us inward and forces us to look at our shadows and confront ourselves basically and reflect on our patterns and take responsibility for our part in things, hopefully, and basically mature, grow up. And Saturn in Pisces is emotional waters. And when Saturn is in retrograde in Pisces, it churns up the emotional waters and brings up old emotional, painful memories and feelings can show up that are uncomfortable. And it can trigger us to escape these feelings and basically cause us to sort of feel an emptiness, a spiritual emptiness, which then causes us to repeat karmic cycles. So when Saturn is in retrograde, we meet that point again where we usually make a karmic choice. But our souls are growing in this period. It is a spiritual transit. It is about an inward evolution where we confront that part of us, that emptiness, that part where we seek something on the external to heal something on the internal. And we know it doesn't work now. So we're really facing that and making big strides and resisting the old ways, going back to something that isn't good for us. Painful memories can show up and it can bring feelings of guilt and shame. And we're really sort of going through a process where we're realizing where we were wrong. And this isn't for punishment, it's to expose our karmic patterns so that we can cleanse our karmic waters. Pisces is the end of the astrological sign. So when it is in Pisces, when Saturn moves into Pisces, it is ending a 29-year cycle. As soon as we clear these lessons, when Saturn is at the end degrees of the cycle, of the karmic cycle, in retrograde, we become so aware of our patterns that we suddenly clear them. We end that's how we end a karmic cycle because we've become aware of it. And in that awareness, we make choices. We're making different choices. We're changing who we are on the inside. We've ended a pattern. We're ending a big pattern, shall we say, that is a destructive pattern, that is a self-destructive pattern. So all of a sudden, you're going to see sudden things dissolve and end out of our lives, like a living situation, karmic relationship could just suddenly end. Um, a parent could pass away because, we're all here with karmic cycles and journeys with our parents. So a parent could pass. We could suddenly, shall we say, a karmic job suddenly ends and we're seeing a new beginning. Again, these cycles are ending, create a vacuum, which sucks in a new beginning. That's how the universe works. As soon as there's a vacuum, it's filled. So we're going to see the new beginnings as the old lives dissolve before our very eyes. Old living situations, jobs, relationships, partnerships, somewhere, wherever Capricorn rules your chart. I'm going to go through all the 12 signs. So, as our awareness grows during this retrograde period, by the time the planet stations direct, we've learned some major lessons because during the period that Saturn was in retrograde in July until now, we may have felt a lot of stagnation. Saturn would have shut and blocked a lot of things so that we really aren't so busy that we're not reflecting, right? And so we may have not had clarity until now. The clarity is building now as Saturn stationing direct, but there would have been a period of feeling of stagnancy and blocks and emotional heaviness. And like I say, karmic cycles definitely may have returned for a lot of people because we have to sometimes see in the retrograde period, we're reflecting as we're sometimes repeating the karmic cycle. Maybe that brings clarity to the reflection period, as it were. So a lot of job pressures could have been happening for a lot of people, a lot of confusion about our shall we say, path, our direction, spiritual numbness, heaviness, depression, but this is also that we confront our unresolved karma and face truths we haven't wanted to see. Old relationship boundaries are tested. The big chance, as like I say, that spiritual emptiness shows up. It could spark relapses, like I say, going back to things that aren't right for us, that are self-destructive. And we're basically facing and gaining clarity of the root cause of our karmic cycles and the emptiness that causes us to make the choices that we make that cause another karmic cycle, which we don't want to do right now. So Saturn direct brings us karmic clarity and the fog lifts. And we're basically back on our destiny, and the destiny resumes its flow. And we start to see the beginnings of a new stability. You can feel it in the energy. So Pisces is the energy of emotions, right? And like I said, when Saturn was in retrograde in Pisces, it churned up those emotions. Well, now that's all going to stabilize. Things are going to feel calm. And Saturn stationing direct is going to bring us a lot of discipline and maturity. And we're going to be able to make very big decisions, long-term decisions. We have a clarity about that. We know what we want now. We know what our new cycle is because we've cleared a karmic base choice point. I hope that's clear. We're making choices that are in alignment with our destiny, with a karmic justice. Um, yes, we're aligning with divine order. When we created our karma, we were making choices that were not in alignment with divine order. Karmic Saturn retrograde, we become aware of how we were making choices out of not in divine order, out of alignment with divine order. So as the planet Saturn stations direct, the energy, like I say, of karmic alignment starts to move forward. There's a momentum building. Things are starting to feel stable. And as this is happening, the universe acknowledges the inner growth, the hard work that we did, and says, you are now ready for the next step. Woohoo! So Saturn stationing direct is going to bring us all a lot of momentum forward in an area where we've done a lot of karmic clearing. And I'm going to go through all the 12 signs and talk about that for each of the sign. All right. See you there. All right, Taurus. So Saturn is going to be direct in your 11th house here, and it has been in your 11th house now for 3 years and roughly. And Saturn in your seventh house would have had you clearing karma and repeat cycles where you find yourself in friendship groups or connections that are not really supportive or in alignment with who you are. And so, especially when Saturn went into retrograde in July, you would have really been, your friendships and connections and tribal groups would have been under would have been under a big test. And the false friends it would have become clear to you who your false friends are. And now that it's in direct motion, you're going to see who your true friends are, who you are bringing with you in your new cycle here, the new 29-year Saturn cycle that's about to initiate in February 14th. So the 11th house is lucky gains too. So you would also stand a fair chance here where some sort of lucky gain can come through to you from network connections in your tribe and people that are very supportive of you. And there could be some nice connections opening up here that bring you rewards because when Saturn leaves a house, it brings and gives us rewards for our hard work, our discipline. You would have had to end and stop the pattern of being in connections and relationships that don't really fill your soul, that are not really soul aligned. And that may have been a very hard experience for you. So you're now going to have some sort of a liberation because whenever we have water energy, we're liberating ourselves. There's spiritual growth. And when we make that spiritual growth, we sort of upcycle into your new cycle, or shall we say, your water houses are going to be the relationship houses, the 11th, the 7th, and the 3rd. The 3rd is the people that are always around you on a day-to-day. The 7th is your close personal, intimate connections or contracted partnerships. And your 11th are your tribe, your social network, the community. And those are the three houses that are being trined by the water trine. And so you're being liberated financially to gains of stability through your true tribe coming through, and a good chance this beautiful water trine brings you your relationship, your true divine soul connected relationship, because in these karmic clearing energies you're clearing patterns of being in relationships that aren't good for you, that aren't the level of who you are, or shall we say you had to lower your values in some way to try to fit into a tribe or relationship that wasn't in divine alignment for you, shall we say. So now all that changes. You're now entering calm waters of stable connections and friendships and relationships that are part of your dharma. So they are part of your new chapter. And you're going to see slow financial gains because fast finances don't last. So Saturn always wants us to build strong and stable, steady foundations. And so you have a beautiful financial gain building slowly, and it brings stability and sort of steady income. You're going to see a steady income, and a lot of this stability is coming in through friends, friendships, and your social networking tribe, your connections, networking. Your long-term goals are going to be supported through community and supported and strengthened. Your goals are strengthened by some community support, and doors are going to open for you through networking. And you're going to build a new circle of a tribe through, and these are people that align with your consciousness, and they're not just people who are convenient for you, shall we say. So that is a nice thing happening for, the 11th house is a really nice house. So, there's a really good chance some kind of a really nice win or gain and a long-term goal is achieved in this direct as well, direct when Saturn is direct. And then we're going to have Saturn moving into your 12th house for the next 3 years in February 14th, where you will be ending ending. The 12th house, we're clearing a karmic cycle here, but when Saturn enters the 12th house, again, there is a karmic vibe to that. But it is in the sign of Aries and it does involve your new beginning. So you're going to be clearing your next, if there is any residue karma to be cleared in the next 3 years, it will be healed and show up. But these are the kind of energies that are going to be, shall we say, purged in the process of the new cycle. And Saturn moving into your 12th house can bring travel, retreats, what else could it be? Working in institutions or trying to think here. It often is long-term travel, but it is also the house of spiritual awakening and liberation and freedom from deep down subconscious karmic burdens. So this Saturn direct is going to bring you guys a lot of blessings and benefits and gains and good relationships, and you're really aligning in divine order. You're becoming aligned to your divine connections, relationships. And again, the third house is media projects or writing or running a small business. And that is trining your seventh house. So there's a good chance you have a co-collaborative divine partnership, a twin flame type of a thing where you go into co-business, soul contracted together. Um, and again, Saturn in the 12th can also just bring travel, A lot of spiritual awakening can happen through travel. A lot of like Hindi and Buddhism believe in taking spiritual travel. What do they call it? They call it pilgrimages and things. So there's a lot of spirituality sort of opening up for you. And I know that sounds like a vague term, but you're gonna up spiral in your spiritual awareness and becoming kind of a bit of a leader with that Aries energy over your 12th. So Saturn rules your Capricorn house, ninth house. So yeah, there is a good chance you either start teaching, traveling, teaching. Um, a later in life partnership could happen there. Saturn in the ninth, a Saturn ruling your ninth. Um, you decide to learn something, you become very serious about learning astrology or about learning the occult, the unseen, the higher consciousness wisdom that's available to us that helps us align better with the cosmos. Um, it is a year, this Saturn in direct motion, and when it moves, and in Saturn ruling your ninth house and it moving into your 12th, that is very much an expansive of consciousness through travel or learning. Very, very good for you guys here, Taurus. Um, So, yep, I'm going to do another reading here soon for the planets that are all moving into Sagittarius. I was doing all the 12 signs for the whole month, each month for 12 signs, but I decided to do just major transits for all the 12 signs because I feel like I rush when I do the whole month for the 12 signs. So I'm experimenting. Anyway, have a wonderful night. Thank you for watching and do like and subscribe. If you'd like a personal reading, feel free to contact me at soullevels.com. I do live Zoom sessions and I use tarot and astrology to help align you with your highest best destiny in love and life. All right, have a wonderful day and please like and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you. Namaste.